Yeah, sorry about that earlier. Had a phone call come in and I tried to, and the whole thing just shut down, but you know, there's nothing but the enemy. Like this truck right here perpetrating another stalker, you know, but that's what it does. The old stalkerachis. I would feel like a low-class piece of dung if my every waking moment was dedicated to following one person around. You know, especially if that individual's on foot and you're in a whole vehicle. Cause see me, I'll just walk right up on you like bada bing. There's no fear this way at all. Sometimes I be feeling like that because, you know, but you gotta let the Most High God fight those battles. Yes, indeedy to the dizzle deed. But what we're not gonna do is be sitting up here with all this extra, you know. What's understood don't need to be explained on any given day of the week. Now, this is part 2 of my earlier posted video. Weaponized kindness. You gotta be careful who you're being kind to out here. You gotta be very careful and mindful. You know, you gotta use discernment. You gotta pray. You gotta ask for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because failure to do so will eventually lead you down a path which is a dead-end road to your destruction or attempted destruction. You know, you gotta remember, all these people out here are not real humans, or scratch that, they're not male or female. You know, it could be Nephilim. You know, at the end of the day, it's all the same tech anyway, you know, regardless. But you could be dealing with a Nephilim, you could be dealing with, you know, a disembodied spirit who has to borrow a body because they lack one, you know. It's just insane. Insane. But you know, and then the individuals who love this life, you know, the lovers of the all about the Benjamins, baby, those types, you know, they'll sell you up the river for a little bit of zoom and whammage. You better bet your sweet bottom gluteal region on the Rizio. That's what it does. You know. There's another one of my, you know, the fraudulent day one buddy. You know, the one who has to, his whole waking focus of everyday life is material gain. You know, this guy, I've helped him move I don't know how many times in life. I've helped him on levels, even the back when we were living in sin. You know, I helped this man out, like, man, above and beyond the call of a friend. But when I need anything, that's right, no call, no show. You know, I remember one time me and this same said individual was having a conversation, and he was basically trying to tell me I was lying about something, and I'm like, dude, you know me. You know I don't have time for that at all. So What blurted out of his gullet next had me completely just baffled. He was like, see man, that's what you do. You'll tell the truth a lot, and then when it comes to something you don't like, just so you can say you've been real. Huh? Excusez-moi. What did you just say? I said, well, to me it sounds like you're saying I always keep it real, but because what I'm saying is in disagreement and with your presenting at that time, now I gotta be this, that, and the third. That's what you're really saying. That's that demon that's inhabiting that vessel. You know, always notice the people that you used to run with while they're trying to pry their way back into your life, trying to break in the back entrance. You know, listen to every word uttered. You know, it's clear as day they've never had your best interests at heart. They never cared about you. They're jealous of you. They really want to be you because they're mad because they're not comfortable being who they are. You know, everybody wants to live a character. Everybody wants to live a Hollywood narrated lifestyle. You know, that's why they try so hard to try to tell you you don't see what you're seeing, or it ain't no big deal. I wouldn't care if people follow me around all the time. Yada da da, yada da da. Well, first of all, you're in on it. You gotta be. And secondly, they wish they had that level of recognition. They want to be followed around because they want the praisement of a Hollywood celebrity. They want to be treated in a Hollywood celebrity lifestyle manner. You know, those of us trying to live for Christ, we're not about that. We don't care about that. But that light shines so bright, it is what it does. For real. You're gonna have multitudes of people following you, people you don't know, creepers and everything. You know, everybody trying to get a dose of that light one way or another at the end of the dizzy. It is what it does. You know? Because what they really want to be like and what they really want to say is, my goodness, he's a bad mamma jamma. He can do this, that, X, Y, Z, and beyond. That's what they really want to say. Our rebuttal is, it's not us. It's the Most High God in heaven that resides within us. You know? But see, that's the part they don't want to acknowledge. You know? They want notification, notoriety, and acknowledgement in the realm of the carnal mind. You know what I'm saying? They don't want it on the real level, in the spiritual realm, giving all praises to Christ. You know, they don't want to do that. Because then, when we go down that route, now you can't lust. Now you can't chase the big glutey buxom that, you know, some of these fraudulent day one buddies, that's all they're about. And that's because that's what they were lacking growing up. You know, they didn't get a lot of exercise in that category, you know, as they were coming up. And we're not supposed to be focusing on those things anyway. We're not supposed to be engaged in premarital sex. We're not supposed to be engaged in sexual sin, period. But every word uttered from that gulletry of theirs, it's always about how they're gonna go, you know, pubic region bumping. It's all it's about. Shooting skeet rockets. And you're not even supposed to waste your seed like that, and vice versa. But you know, hey. And that's, and you would think these individuals would take people like us, who they've seen at their absolute worst stage in the game, and how God has brought them up out of that, and how he's elevating them. You know, first of all, they don't want to acknowledge the elevation. You know, they don't want to acknowledge anything about it because they want you in that low vibrational state. You know, they want you in the snake pit. They want you there to rot, you know. All the love and kindness that you've extenuated throughout the years means nothing. Means nothing. You know, their every waking moment is to figure out how they can weaponize your level of kindness and utilize it against you in a manner according to their liking. That's why it is pertinent. It is very imperative that you watch who you help out here. Everyone that looks like they need help, everyone that, you know, gives the mere appearance of one in trouble, they aren't. Agents of ancient evil, you know. Gotta remember that. You got to remember that. Like right now, I've got 2 vehicles just parked just so they can monitor me walking through this little section. But you know, they're just so beneath what's going on, we're not even gonna put them on camera right now. For what? There's no need. They ain't on the level, you know? And that's how we need to continue to operate. As far as we're concerned, they don't exist. How can, first of all, the ones who are not human, they don't even have a body, dude. They lost their body. Now they're just miserable, wandering spirits out here, you know what I mean, angry. When they're the ones who messed up. You know, hey. But that's what it is.